There's a term that's gone down in Australian political journalism history with some infamy called ideological bastardry. It was mentioned by a left-wing journo from the ABC about a Liberal Prime Minister. But I can tell you right now, Deputy Speaker, that I think one of the legislation I think that shows one of the biggest acts of political bastardry since I've been in here has been the banning of live sheep exports from this Labor government. This hasn't been done. This has been done simply on ideology. It hasn't been done on animal welfare reasons. We are the best animal welfare advocates in the world on this industry, and it certainly hasn't been done for economics. It's been done simply because of animal activists, this government kowtowing to animal activism. And they have history on this, Deputy Speaker, too. Let's not forget that, again, back in 2011, the Lefty Four Corners program did a hatchet job on live exports, and the then Agricultural Minister, the Labor Agricultural Minister, shut down live exports overnight. Now, what that did and what the live sheep export does is more than just harm to the live export industries that they affect, Deputy Speaker. It affects the whole, that affected cattle prices across the country. This live export ban on sheep has already affected sheep prices across the country. It affects every sheep farmer, whether they be on the east coast or the west coast. It affects international relationships. That live export ban back in 2011 did a lot of harm between the relationship between Indonesia and Australia, as is this live export ban doing to many other countries that we export to. Deputy Speaker. Now, Deputy Speaker, there were people earlier in the gallery, there's people in this building today who are good people. They're people who are either directly work in the live export industry, or they're suppliers. They might be truck drivers. They might be veterinarians. But they all their jobs revolve around the live export industry. I had the pleasure of speaking to many of them when I was in Western Australia a month or so ago. And they're good people. And what they do is generate wealth, and they generate jobs for our country. And I think we should be, and we do on this side of politics, thank them for what they do, Deputy Speaker. And I think the Labor government should be apologising for the anguish, the mental health anguish that they're doing to the people who work in this industry, financial, emotional as well, for the trauma that they're causing. And I can say with great pleasure, Deputy Speaker, that if we as a coalition, this side of politics, if the Liberal National Party are elected at the next election under the leadership of Peter Dutton and David Littleproud, Deputy Speaker, we will reinstate the sheep live export industry, Deputy Speaker. We will not shut you down. But let's be very clear to them and for them who is shutting them down. And again, in so often of the legislation we talk about in this chamber, Deputy Speaker, it is often, again, this city versus country divide. Because who has decided that our farmers, what they do or how they do it isn't okay, Deputy Speaker? Again, it is these inner-city elite MPs. They start over there, and they're the teal inner-city elites. They're the city elite MPs, the Greens, who are all inner-city elites. And then we go around to the Labor Party, the majority of them again, too, Deputy Speaker, who are inner-city elite MPs. So let's be really clear. Let's be really clear that it is these inner-city elite MPs who have voted this industry out of extinction, or voted this industry out of existence, because they, living in their concrete jungles more often than not, Deputy Speaker, they think they know best, living in the cities, what farmers can or should do in regional areas. And again, this is just another example of this, Deputy Speaker. So, the opposition will say, so we're going to get 5 people who get up opposite Deputy Speaker and talk about why they're doing this, okay? And they're going to say things like, well, we should process it here. We should do all the processing, we should value add, and we should process here. Now, Deputy Speaker, that again just highlights their absolute ignorance. That highlights their ignorance, because even the sheep meat processors, Deputy Speaker, in Western Australia support the live export industry. They know for the sheep industry in Western Australia to have a future, they need processing, they need live export, and they need wool, Deputy Speaker. So even the sheep meat processors know that they need this industry. But they'll get up and go, "Oh no, we can process it all here in Australia." Well, none of them have probably been to a processor. I actually have the pleasure of having a beef processor in my electorate, Deputy Speaker, and right now, no processor in the country can get enough staff now. We are battling to process the demand for processing in this country right now. Member for Hasluck, you keep interjecting because we're coming for you on this one. We are coming for you on this one. And we had a whole lot of people in this building today, and they can't wait to door knock your electorate. So, through you, Chair, I just highlight that to the member for process. So again, they'll get up and they'll say, we should process it all ourselves. They probably won't get up, or if they do get up and talking about animal welfare, that's going to be interesting because we have the best animal welfare processors in the country and indeed the world on this. And again, no industry is perfect, Deputy Speaker. We have all seen images, and there's always been in any industry, and in the live export industry, where they needed to improve, and they have continually improved. And they have continually improved processes and standards to why they are the best in the world. And Australia, as I say, is the best welfare standards in the world. Now, we also got up, and this again shows the ignorance, Deputy Speaker. The Prime Minister got up today and said this is a dying industry. Oh, excuse the pun, but this is a dying industry anyway. But the numbers don't support this. Sheep exports, live sheep exports in 2022 were 380,000 tonnes. In 2023, it went to 640,000 tonnes. This is a lucrative industry. This is an industry that there is more demand in, and it's a growing industry economically. But again, this was inner city elites, MPs, listen to their lefty press that they follow and saying they know best. Not talking to our farmers, not going out there and talking to them about how they improved the industry, why is this important to you, just listening to the lefty press that they follow in the inner cities. Now, I want to go through just some of the ways that this industry has improved its standards over the last few years, Deputy Speaker. There's been a moratorium on exports in the Northern Hemisphere summer. There's increased space for each animal. There's improved ventilation. There's automated monitoring. There's independent observers. And there's inspections on animals before they get on a boat to make sure they're fit enough to undergo the journey. And we even now have examples where livestock is putting weight on, Deputy Speaker, on these journeys. Now, I'm a modest cattle farmer, Deputy Speaker, and I can tell you if an animal's putting on weight, they're doing very, very well. Mortality rates are lower than the natural mortality rates you have in paddocks, Deputy Speaker. We even monitor and we go and have a look at the feedlots and the abattoirs that these live exports go to make sure they're at standards that are up to our standards. Again, we have been a world leader in improving the standards of this. But no, that's not okay. We know best because the ABC have told us, or the animal activists have told us, you've got to shut this down. Again, it has been absolutely ideological bastardry, Deputy Speaker.
Member for Page, I'm just going to remind you that even quoting language that is unparliamentary is disorderly.
Okay. I'll tell Laura Tingle she used unparliamentary language.
No, I'm reminding you of the use of other people's words in the parliament and being careful about that.
I take that.
You can make your point forcefully without.
I take that point. Now, the other thing I want to come to is international relations. What are we saying? So, who are the biggest markets for our live sheep exports? I'll run through the countries: Kuwait, Israel, Jordan, UAE, Oman, Qatar and Saudi Arabia. Now, most of these countries do this, Deputy Speaker, because they want to do it. It's a cultural thing that they want to do their own meat processing. So what are we saying to those countries? Are we saying to those countries that the fact that you want this, the fact that you want live exports or live imports into your country, that you're bad for wanting that? If we're saying that that industry is that we should not have live exports, are we saying to countries that want live imports, are we saying to them, because you demand or want that product, you are bad people because of what that entails? Of course, that's exactly what you're saying, and that is insulting to every country. And there's a lot of other countries that we do live exports of beef to. That's effectively what you were saying. So again, Deputy Speaker, as we know, the Keep the Sheep campaign, the farming army, they're coming to a Labor seat near you, the marginal seat near you. And I say to them right now, as a coalition, we support you, we back you, and we will reverse this decision when we win government at the next election.